we ran into a Windows company, and just the Windows company alone does 3,000 permits in 1 year. So that brought my year three projections up into my month three, you know? It completely turned everything on its head.
Welcome to the podcast. Today we have a couple special guests. We have Karen Videla. She is the co-founder of Permit Rockstar, and we have Matthew Smith, who is the head of sales of Permit Rockstar. Karen, why don't you tell us a little bit about Permit Rockstar and your role and how it fits into the bigger picture there?
Yeah, sure. So Permit Rockstar is a company that was founded to very boring. Help contractors expedite permitting. At the end of the day, that's our goal. It's to simplify the permitting process for contractors. So we handle everything from the paperwork. So we have an AI-powered platform that helps them autofill the paperwork to doing private plan reviews and private virtual inspections. And I'm the co-founder of it because Permit Rockstar was founded off of my family's construction business. So I was the one dealing with the permitting and all the paperwork in there, and I was sick and tired of it. So we try to come up with a way to make it better. And this is what we ended up coming up with.
I think you're underselling yourself a little bit there. I mean, maybe it sounds a little boring at first, but what's more boring? The more boring part is actually doing all that paperwork, right?
That's fair, yeah. It's nobody likes paperwork, nobody likes government bureaucracy. So any part of that that we can take away and expedite and make faster and more efficient is exactly what our company's going for.
And you mentioned your family's business. If I
Mhm.
remember correctly, you've had a construction company in the family for 25 years, right?
Yep.
So what pushed you guys to start this business now?
Well, my dad founded the construction company about 25 years ago, and he was been running it with my mom. And I kind of joined in about 10 to 15 years ago, give or take, and started helping with that whole company. And he has a degree in computer science. So, how he went from there to construction is a story for another day. But he's always looking for ways to make processes better and more efficient because that's how we're always going to be able to better serve our clients at the end of the day and also make our lives easier in the process. So we started with doing a construction management platform at first, which was SR360 Solutions, and that kind of helped put everything in one place. And one of the things that was missing from that was our permitting. We really had no way to make that any easier for us, and it was taking hours and hours of time. So just kind of doing a little bit of beta testing and with our own company and how we were doing the permits in there, we just started working on different solutions. And we started off with just one form that we were able to upload, digitize it, and kind of scrape the data from the property appraiser, which is the notice of commencement. And from there, we started getting customers to beta test it for us as well. And they kept asking for more. They're like, what about this form? What about the building permit? What about this and so on? So from there, we just started adding more and more, and it just became a product of its own. We weren't trying to create this company. It's just something that came out of a necessity at the end of the day.
I love that. I also have a background in computer engineering. It's, like the
Okay.
illegitimate child between computer science and electrical engineering.
Yeah.
And so I love how he was trying to solve a need, right, that you have in your own business. And
Yeah.
eventually it turned into something you thought, well, hey, maybe we can make a business out of this, right?
Yeah, and it gets me out of construction. I mean, I love construction. It's been our family way of life for so many years, but it's a lot of work. It's a lot of hard work. So this way, I'm still in the construction industry, but I'm not out on the field actually building things anymore. So, gives me a better work-life balance.
Yeah, for sure. So what does a typical day look like for you?
Oh gosh. Well, it depends on the day. Developers in India, we have developers in the UK. So time zones are not my friend. And I'm usually up sometimes at 4 in the morning, having meetings with them, just going over the back end, making sure we're working on all the bugs, making sure everything's up to date, making sure nothing crashed overnight, which has happened once or twice, unfortunately, and just seeing that everything is up and running. So that's the start of my day. And then after that, sales meeting, marketing meeting, a lot of Zoom calls and a lot of running back and forth because we are still doing the construction company. We still have that as an up and running company. So I'm still working with clients, not so much hands-on anymore, but it's still something I'm overseeing. I mean, just with Permit Rockstar, since we've launched this relatively recently in September is when we kind of did our official launch. It's been a lot of getting our name out there. So a lot of networking meetings, a lot of demos with clients. Lunch meetings are my favorite because I have an excuse to go out, sit down and have a good lunch, you know? So we get a lot of those in the day. It's different every day depending on what happened the day before.
Yeah, for sure. That's a good thing. And what about you, Matthew? What does a typical day-to-day look like for you?
Yeah, and Karen, if it's possible to understate the amount of different things she's doing on any given day, she wears so many hats. And when I first met them, I think they were saying she was, marketing rock star or something like that. And because I guess that's what you did in undergrad. And
Yeah.
so that's one of the 20 hats that she wears. And that's one of the cool things about being at a startup. No 2 days are the same. There's always stuff to work on. There's always exciting things, and monotony just almost doesn't exist. In terms of my day to day, again, no 2 days look the same. We've been doing a lot of in-person stuff, whether it's prospective client meetings or trade shows. We also, I guess, kind of have a hybrid work environment in that we do have a brick and mortar office. So we, as a team, get together and talk about upcoming events, the product. As she mentioned, our MVP, minimum viable product launch, occurred a couple of months ago, but we're still learning every day about new use cases for our tool, new verticals, and potential ICPs. Typical week, I'm not only helping us shape our GTM strategy, but I'm also executing on it. So I'm picking up the phones and making cold calls and sending follow-up emails. And for the past, I guess, month, set up our CRM or helped, evaluate and implement a CRM and so many different things that we're doing. We're going to be going to a trade show next week. So, ramping up for that. Although, again, Karen's doing so much there, but yeah, a lot of different and exciting things. So.
If there's one thing you can count on always with software, it's that your users are going to use it in a way that you didn't intend them to use it. And you got to figure that out and track that and make sure that you're
Yep.
covering those edge cases and that it doesn't just blow up when that happens.
Yeah.
Well, and if you look at the trajectory of this company, which wasn't even ever meant to exist, a big part of why that happened is Karen and especially Fabian. Um, if they see a need and they can envision a pathway to filling it, they just do it, right? So if there's a potential use case for a product or if there's a way to improve it, I mean, our product now, just for simplicity's sake, covers A through Z. Well, the initial pain point that they sought to improve was A, and then they were like, well, why don't we do A through D? And then talking to people, and they're like, well, we have problems with E. And then, next thing you know, the next morning at 4 a.m., they're on a call and they're pivoting the platform. And so,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh yeah, it moves fast.
Yeah, software, it can definitely move fast. I like being on teams that are able to move fast and that bureaucracy that you mentioned, there's minimal amounts of that.
Oh, it doesn't exist here.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
great
not
for
at all.
startups. What major shifts are you seeing in the construction industry right now?
Oh boy. Construction industry. I always say that the construction industry is very set in its ways. It's very hard. Uh, Anytime you mention anything technological to the people on the field, because you have a lot of big thinkers higher up that, have big dreams for the company, but like people on the field actually doing the work, it's hard to implement any sort of technology their way because they're very set in their ways. I've seen a major shift in that because we're getting a lot of younger people in the construction industry, thankfully. Not as many as we need, not enough to replace the existing workforce in construction, but we are seeing a lot more young people come into the field and into play, and they're implementing a lot of technology. And now with everybody's favorite new toy, AI, it's getting implemented in a lot of ways, just like creating estimates, something that's as simple as that my dad back in the day, he's gonna love I said that, would just use, pen and paper, write it down, and then go home and type it up on a Word document. And that was the proposal. And moved over to an Excel sheet, which was prettier, and then it moved over into a nice little PDF. Now AI can generate an estimate in literally a couple minutes if you feed it the right information. So it's fun in this line of work that I'm now. I can talk to lots of different contractors that are at different stages of their life. I have a lot of younger contractors that the first words out of their mouth to me are, "How are you using the AI?" And then I have the older generation that's like, "Wait, you can do a virtual inspection? How does that work? Like with your phone, you can do it?" So it's like I get both ends of the puzzle there. Um, Trend, but that's the trend I'm seeing. I'm seeing it being a lot more technology focused and how they can implement technology into their day-to-day lives. So everything from estimating a job to the actual tools they're using, how the tools can be different or more efficient. Those are the main things I'm seeing in the construction industry, which has been fun to see actually, because like I said, construction is very set in its ways. So seeing this trend into it being more technological friendly is nice and
Yeah,
a welcome experience.
for sure. So how does that trend impact your own business or growth strategy for Permit Rockstar?
So it makes it easier for me that they're open to using technology. It makes it easier for me to bring the solution to them and them not run away scared because they don't even know what they're looking at. So it does make them a lot more open. Construction has seen a decline in terms of clients, I guess, over the last year or so. There's been less construction sales than there have been in previous years. So companies that are looking for ways to improve are kind of come running to us because they're like, "Oh, what do you mean you can help us get our job done faster? How does that work?" Because that means they also get paid faster, they get their payments in because the project is done quicker. So that definitely it helps me in a big way because it means that they're a lot more open to something that's new to them.
And they could possibly even get their job done more efficiently too, and save money that way by not having to spend so many man hours doing stuff
Yep.
that would have taken so much longer without your tools.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially when it comes down to the virtual inspection side of things, it's they can save what do we say, Matthew? It's like about a month of time overall on their project when you count in all the days that we're saving. So that's a lot of time that they can save.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, and Jarrett, I would say currently, in terms of our GTM strategy, we're currently focused on Florida. We'll be expanding our footprint. So a good number of the conversations that we have are with, companies in Florida. Some have a, more regional presence or even national. But I think some of the things that I'm seeing, you've got this myriad of um, company statuses and industry statuses, but some companies are just trying to stay afloat. So like if we look at, roofers, just to pick one example, roofers in Northeast Florida, the volume's down. We haven't had a ton of hurricanes this year. The market
Luckily.
is a little different. Yeah, like luckily. And so some companies they're just trying to stay afloat. They're cost sensitive. They're maybe not wanting to invest in anything that as she mentioned it. I don't want to say it's a backwards industry, but it's a less tech forward space, and I think that's evolving, right? But
Well,
you
yeah.
also, on the other side of it, you have companies that are trying to grow. They're trying to branch into new cities. They're trying to get more business and do more volume, bigger jobs, et cetera. And so we're interacting with a lot of companies like that that are trying to figure out how can I grow? How can I become more efficient? How can I utilize technology in a way that it's not becoming shelfware, but it's something that we actually utilize and it actually makes, our employees' lives better, our bottom line better, better customer experience. So you've got a whole myriad of kind of situations that companies are in.
Yeah. I love what you said about, the roofing as that using that as an example. I live in Utah. We
Uh-huh.
expect to replace our roof every, 20 to 30 years, but with all the hurricanes and everything, I had never thought about that. That's crazy.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
I moved to Florida 3 years ago, and so not having come from construction, like I just kind of took those things for granted. And then moving down here, it's this whole new world of you know experiencing weather in a very different way.
Yeah. So you've mentioned a lot of things, Matthew, about, implementing your go-to-market and targeting locally for the time being in Florida, which I think is great. So what's been working well for you and what's been frustrating about that?
Great question. So, and Karen probably could chime in here. I think in this day and age, people are getting bombarded with, sales offers, right? And you're trying to knock on doors, virtually, in person, whatever. And not everyone wants to be pitch slapped in the middle of their day, right? And so trying to figure out what messaging resonates with people, who are, the target personas that we have, where do we meet them? And definitely one of the things that we've realized over the past several weeks, and honestly, every cold call that gets answered, every demo that we do, it's we're learning from those things, right? How do roofers in Jacksonville do their processes differently than in St. Augustine, right? And but I think one of the things that we've learned is that our messaging, whether it's emails, decks, presentations, etc., has to be targeted to our audience in a very like customized way so that it does resonate with them. So if we do a roofing demo for a plumber, or if our pricing for a plumber just doesn't even make sense, or right, there's a whole bunch of different things that we're still learning, and we're also learning the people, who has pain points that are enough that they're willing to invest time and energy and money into solving it, right? And sometimes you have people that are just kind of set in their ways, or they're not as interested in trying to improve their workflows, right? So, Karen, anything to add there? I'm sure you got a bunch of
Oh
thoughts.
yeah, I can add a little bit there. Launching the company in September was in a way strategic and in a way not, because we wanted a few months to be able to gear up. Construction obviously is seasonal for the most part. Anytime that you're getting into the holidays, so Thanksgiving, Christmas, you're fighting against Santa Claus and you're never going to win. So construction projects tend to go slow down dramatically during the season. which was great for us because we wanted our first few official clients to kind of be a bit of a tester with us. And we wanted them to be able to do that during their slow season. I didn't want them to be able to have to go through that in peak season because I know how stressful that can be when you're juggling 10, 20 projects at a time. If you're only juggling two, three, four, five projects, you can give me a little bit more attention and you're going to be a lot more patient with me if I make a mistake, which is bound to happen because it's software. It's going to happen. There's going to be something wrong with the code. Something's going to break. You're going to enter something in a way that I hadn't thought of before. So it was
Karen, you're clearly so new to tech. There's nothing wrong with our software. We have zero bugs. We've
perfect. I
experienced
know.
zero issues. No. That was the
But
internet. It was the internet.
yeah. So launching in September was a bit of a strategy in the sense of we expected it to be a little bit slower. But at the same time, that's also frustrating for my sales team because it does mean it's slower to get a reply from clients sometimes. They're not going to be willing to take on, like Matthew said, a new expense that they see it as an expense right now. It might benefit them in the long run or even in the short run, but it is an expense that they're going to have to take on. So that can be frustrating at times when you have a great call with a client and you guys are kind of a perfect fit, but they don't have a project for you right now to work on.
Right.
So that can be frustrating at times, but it's also expected. And
Mhm.
I like kind of walking before I start to run. So I'm happy with the way it's going. And I know we're gonna, with this trade show we're doing next week, I'm sure we're gonna hit a big rise in terms of demos and everything that we need and getting new clients. But yeah, it's been a process.
Yeah, I had never thought of that. I thought maybe the construction would slow down seasonally just because of, weather, but I
Yeah.
do live in Utah, so when it
Oh, yeah,
snows,
we
it
don't
slows
deal with
down.
snow here. Yeah,
Well,
maybe a
60
hurricane if it
degrees
ever
is
occurs.
perfect. 60
Yeah,
degrees is perfect to go work outdoors or, build
right.
something, right?
Yeah, I know. And
Absolutely.
yeah, and it does slow down in summer because it's summertime and parents are out with their kids and nobody wants construction in summer over here because they want to enjoy their house or at least the exterior of their house. So
And their AC.
yeah, that's what they say a lot of times. The J months are not good for construction because January, it's right after Christmas. Everybody's wallets are hurting after buying all those presents, and then June, July, summer months. So there you have it.
Well, good to know. So what metrics would you say you're most focused on improving then?
Good question. We want to get our conversions up. So anytime we have leads coming in, getting those converted into sales would, I guess, be the one that I'm focused on improving the most. Um, that's the one that comes to mind right now. I don't know if Matthew has another one in mind. I'm sure his is the same as mine.
Yeah, I mean, well, and it's as I mentioned earlier, like we've literally just stood up our CRM,
Yeah,
you know,
like
a
two
month
weeks ago.
ago, and yeah, and it's still getting polished and refined. And so we've just started, creating opportunities, or they call them deals in HubSpot, um, you know, starting to track all of that. And so we don't really have a huge data set yet, right? And so we don't know in terms of our buyer journey, like how long they're going to sit at different stages in our sales cycle. And so, but in terms of, let's just pretend perfect world, I had all of those metrics. Which ones would I be wanting to try and improve the most? I would say um, the the time frame from taking someone from initial interest or initial demo to actually utilizing our services. So and most of my experience has been mostly pure SaaS, whereas we're like a software and services company, right? And so, um, that being said, the services side, it's not like we're doing a bunch of custom dev and things like that. Like a lot of our work is is project based, right? And so one of the challenges we're facing that I'm sure we've started to try and think about how to improve our processes and shorten the sales cycle, but taking someone from, okay, we have a great first call or there's a lot of interest to them actually utilizing it on a real world project. That's definitely, I would say, one of the metrics. And then honestly, just like overall leads or opportunities created, right? And so I think being a new company, we're still in the process of figuring out what percentage of that is going to come from cold calls and cold outbound emails, what percentage is going to come from inbounds of our website, what the ROI is going to be on, paid advertising, in-person trade shows and different things like that. So obviously, more leads, more opportunities that actually close. And yeah, it's interesting because with my background, I think the earliest company I was ever a part of, I was employee number 8, and the first like true salesperson there, right? But I mean, full-time employees, I don't know the best way to explain this, Karen, but we kind of have 4 FTEs. We kind of have 8 or 10 between, all the different, um, engineers and different things like that we utilize. But, basically just having an MVP a couple of months ago, not having a customer success arm, not having all of these processes defined, like it's a journey there, right?
Yeah. Um, it's it's fun, you know. It means you're not set in stone. We're developing these things as we go. Fabian and I are pretty much have our hands in every part of the process, which I know one day, hopefully that will change. But I think that would be weird for me too, to like not know all my clients' names. That's going to be weird to me. I enjoy that part of the interaction. I enjoy interacting with the clients and hearing how we're helping them or hearing, whatever it is that they need. I truly enjoy that part. So I know hopefully one day we'll grow big enough that I'm not going to know every client's name. And that's also going to make me a little bit sad at the same time.
Yeah, you could be part of the success team that interviews and says, like, how were you successful using our stuff?
That's not a bad idea
Yeah.
because I do enjoy that part of the process. Not so much the customer complaints. I deal with a lot of those as well. I'll just stay on the fun side.
That'd be awesome. So where do you want to be 6 to 12 months from now?
With we've done a lot more. What's it called? What's the right word, Matthew? Customer research, whatever the exact lingo you want to add on to that is.
ICP.
Sure, yeah, that's the one. Um, and we've realized that there's so many different verticals that we can go after in terms of types of clients. So it's not just general contractor. It's not just the guy building your house. It's the guy that's putting the generator on your house. It's the guy doing your roof. It's the guy putting your windows on. So there's so many different types of clients that we can go after that work at such a much higher volume than I was expecting. So when I was doing the financials for all of this, it meant that our clients, we were hoping to have 100 clients in the first year. That was our goal because we figured 100 clients doing 10 permits each, that's 1,000 permits in a year. Perfect. I really don't need much else there. For our first year, that would be awesome. We ran into a Windows company, and just the Windows company alone does 3,000 permits in one year. So that brought my year 3 projections up into my month 3. It completely turned everything on its head. And then we got Matthew into the mix, and he started going over different clients that we can go after. And then generator company pulls, 300 permits. Another window company is pulling 700 permits. A contractor we met this morning pulls 100 permits. So I'm meeting all these people that are doing such a high volume that you're asking me, where do I see ourselves in 6 to 12 months? I didn't see myself in this position now. So what the next 6 to 12 months can hold is going to really be on us and how much we're willing to take on. And I want to make sure that I'm biting off enough that I'm able to chew it and I don't choke, essentially. I believe this company in 6 to 12 months is going to be, able to stand on its own 2 feet. It's going to have maybe a full sales force up and running. I'm going to have people on the phones calling, and I'm going to have a lot more inbound leads, so I don't need to have people cold calling as much. But with these clients that I'm having now, that's going to be my next 6 months for the most part, is getting them up and running and taking on this just inbound of leads that I just wasn't expecting.
So do those inbound leads require a lot of effort to set up and everything onto the platform?
Well, once in the platform, not really. Once I do their initial training, no, it's getting them, if they're like these enterprise level clients, so the people doing the 3,000 or 700 permits a year, there's usually some back end work that I need to do just to make sure I have all the right people on there. I have all their notaries online. I have all the forms they need. But once they're up and running, they're up and running. It's pretty much hands off on my end, minus having to do the plan reviews and inspections, which is the service parts of our platform. But the software part itself is pretty hands off. So, I mean, it's not a lot of work once they're in. I just need to get them in first.
Yeah, makes sense. So you want to make sure that as you grow, you're not choking on all the new growth that is happening,
Well,
especially.
absolutely, yeah, because I mean, I believe in this company. I know this company can do great things. And once word gets out there of how awesome we are, I just know we're going to have a bunch of people wanting to use us. Maybe we'll start turning clients away, Matthew. Do you think that would ever happen?
Uh, Not if I can help it. I mean, so Jared, you asked about kind of vision for the next 6 to 12 months, and Karen has hers. I mean, if I'm thinking perfect world, we'll call it 9 months from now. We're starting to grow the sales team. We've got maybe two BDRs and two account executives. Maybe I'm still helping with some of the enterprise stuff because at the end of the day, I still love interacting with prospective clients and selling, and it's fun to me. Standing up a customer success team, whether it's one or two people at that point, but people to help not only with onboarding clients, but also staying in touch with them regularly and handling renewals, retention, etc. Um, and yeah, just kind of scaling our team in general, and then also again, perfect world, 9 months from now, we're expanding our footprint to an additional state, and that would be opening many more doors or windows and doors in our case, right? So
Keeping the roofs on though.
yeah, yeah.
So to sustain that kind of growth and everything, if you had a magic wand to fix just one thing in your business that's holding you back or slowing you down from reaching that, what would that
Mm.
be?
Money?
In what way?
Uh, no. I think it would be right now. My biggest concern whenever I'm growing a team is making sure I have the right people on the team. I think I've looked out incredibly with the team I have so far. They've been amazing, no complaints. I'm not only saying that because Matthew's on camera. Uh, they really have, though. It's been a really fun journey. And if I had a magic wand, it would be just to be able to know that whoever I'm hiring is going to be that amazing going forward. Just be able to see the future and see that they'd be able to work out in the company. Because I do feel like that's one of the biggest things that holds companies back is not having the right people on their team. So just having the right team as we grow is my ideal world.
Totally agree. What about you, Matthew?
Um, Well, I'll preface by saying I love technology. I love helping people. I love innovation. But I wouldn't be a good salesperson if I didn't like, selling a ton of software, right? And so I think magic wand might be our vision in the long run is to have a somewhat self-service model for some of our less enterprise type customers. And so obviously, if it's a Fortune 500 company, that will require a salesperson and a bunch of calls and legal and all of that kind of stuff. But I think over time, with the right focus and work, there should be, if someone's doing 50 permits a year, that's absolutely a customer that can benefit from our solution, and we want to be able to help them. But 9 months from now, whatever, uh, the idea would be that that buying journey would be simplified a little bit, whether it's just more case studies on our website, onboarding that's fully documented, streamlined, simplified, because the beauty of our solution is it's not that complicated. I mean, Karen kind of undersold it in terms of Fabian is a technological genius. I mean, he just builds AI agents over a weekend. And I know there are a lot of people out there doing that. But if he sees something that can be innovated, he's going out and building it or working with engineers to build it. So it is complicated behind the scenes, but our UI, our actual solution is really not that complicated. So right now it's, Karen's doing one-on-one onboardings. Um, and part of that is to make sure that people have a good experience. And part of that is building those relationships and learning from those potential end users. But I think over time, there are a lot of software out there that people don't ever get training for, and they go through modules and they're experts in it, right? So I think streamlining some of that in the long run will be super beneficial and has been kind of our vision since, we first started talking a couple of months ago.
Yeah, I've loved hearing about the vision that you guys have for the company. I mean, it seemed like you guys were a little unsure last we met, Karen, and now it seems like you like really have more of a direction,
I
and
told you it's been a busy month.
it really has.
Yeah, I mean, it's like any new call that we have, I'm sure it would be in the interest of everyone's calendars. It'd be like, yeah, like you skip this call, you skip that call, you can work on this in the interim. But, we had a call today, we had a meeting last week where we just learned so much. And, we shared the generator example. Uh, we went to a something called Venture Atlanta a couple of weeks back, which was really cool. And one of the messages was just like really hone in on your ICP and just go after that. And because I think at points we were, I don't want to say chasing the wrong type of prospective customers, but just learning, right? Learning who cares about the solution. And generator companies, like that's such an easy phone call. I don't even necessarily have to get the right person on the phone, right? Because they have an acute pain point that we solve, and so it's kind of a no-brainer. And so that's where everything is just so fluid. But once you kind of hone in on that ICP, like sky's the limit, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for any of our listeners that are listening, uh, how would be the best way to reach out to you if they want to either sign up or learn more?
Guess the easiest way is going to our website, permitrockstar.com, and then just fill out a form there and we'll get in touch with you.
It's not a form. No, well, yes, okay, we have a contact us form, but no, go to book a meeting. There's you go to schedule a demo, and you can even pick Karen or myself. Karen doesn't want to be picked, but no, but if you just go into there and schedule a meeting with our team, we're happy to do a demo, answer any questions. And then we're all on LinkedIn, and I'm sure Karen's on the Facebook there somewhere, but no, I'm kidding.
Somewhere.
Don't go on
Somewhere.
there.
Well, this has been fantastic, Karen and Matthew. Thank you so much for your time. And um, yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe.